Hi guys, in this video I cover anonymous classes. The example I will use is I have a toggle, that's an interface, and I have a class named LightSwitch that implements the interface. Let's start out by defining the interface. And this interface has two methods named turn-on and turn-off. Next, I create a class that implements the interface. This class is named LightSwitch. It uses the implements keyword and then the interface name. And here it implements both methods. So I start with the override annotation, then write the method name, turn on, and all I do in the implementation is I output a message that the light was turned on. Next, I do the same with the turn off method. And I also just output a message that the light was turned off. Now let's create an object of this class. This object I name light1. I call the default constructor, and once I have the object, I can call methods on it. So turn on and turn off. Now this object only exists in a single method. In this case, it's a main. But you can assume if this is a very large application, the method could be really any method in the application. It's not specific to the main method. Now, if I only need to instantiate the class once, and it's only in this method, I don't need to have this global declaration for the class. I can actually move the class definition inside the method. And here what I have is I have a named class. The name that I gave the class is LightSwitch. First I define the class and then I instantiate it when I create the object here. So this is all fine, but this is kind of a case where we could define an anonymous class itself. So I leave the code there and I create an anonymous class of it. So like the name implies, an anonymous class doesn't have a name. So what I do is I use polymorphism. So first I create, or I declare a variable of type toggle of the interface type, and I just call this light. Then I assume I have a class, and I assume for a moment that the class is toggle and it has a constructor. So I call new toggle, open close parentheses. So it looks very similar like what I'm doing up here with the light switch. But instead of having a semicolon, because it's not a class, what I do is I provide a class definition. So this is the scope of the definition. This is the body of the class. Everything will be the same like what I have up here. So I copy and paste it. And now what I just did is I created an anonymous class and I instantiated. So essentially I have the class definition like I have up here without the name. I don't provide a name. So really what I basically have is this part. This is the class definition. And then I combine it with the instantiation of that class, which is with the name class up here and with the anonymous class, it is here. So I combine the two, and what I gain there is that I defined a class, I instantiate it, and now I can use it just like any other class. Turn on, light at, turn off. So I can use it just like any other object. Now, because it's an anonymous class, it doesn't have a name, so no other code can refer to the class. So I also made sure that I only created a single object and no other object can ever be created. Now it's not the same as a singleton design pattern, but this is kind of another pattern that is often used with event handlers. So let's go cover that a little bit more. Let's say, for example, I have a laundry class, and the laundry class has a method to notify me when it's done, so on done. And here to that class, I wanna define a toggle that gets turned on when the laundry is done. What I could do, of course, if I have an object, I just pass in the object like here. So the light will be turned on, and I know when it turns on, the laundry is done. A lot of times what you see is a template that with event handlers like this, there are anonymous classes. So I call new constructor, and then directly I provide an implementation. So override public void turn on, and here I output a message that the laundry was done. Or I could say laundry is done. And in the other case, turn off. Maybe it's when the light is turned off, the laundry is ready, I can load it again. But the main thing is here that the turn on method will be called. So this is kind of the event handler where I want to get notified when something is done. And it's not synchronous, so it's not like I make a method call and it returns and waits until it is done and then returns. I just call it. The program flow would continue, but whenever something happens, when the event happens here, it will call my method here for the event handler. So this is a common program template that you will see and call. And this is really famous for anonymous classes. There's no point in defining a class somewhere else if ever where I really need it is right in this place for the event handler. So this is basically the main purpose for anonymous classes. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you for watching.